Greetings, fellow travelers. Today we'll be trekking through lands of change, Australia and beyond, at the Brevard Zoo. Upon entering, we are given the message that Earth has changed a lot in the past 4.5 billion years. The animals that we know today are the product of change, and forecast of change becomes a common theme throughout this exhibit. The animal identification signing giving us a fact or two about the species, and then a forecast for change for said species. Our first encounter after crossing the bridge is a home for Wrinkled Hornbills. Before the mothers of these birds laid them as an egg, she used a mixture of food, feathers, and droppings to seal herself in the nest hole. After hatching, they spend several weeks inside while the father brings them food. The forecast for change for this species is pretty simple. Fewer big trees means fewer rest holes, and that means fewer hornbills. Following the path to the right, we will come across the habitat for Sheldon the Komodo Dragon. With multiple yards and several viewing locations, there's always the opportunity to see this big lizard. Finding a mate can be tough for female lizards stranded on an island. To deal with this, some can reproduce without even breeding. In the forecast for change with this species, as populations become more fragmented, this reproductive strategy may become more common. On the left side of the path, we get a glimpse into the kangaroo and emu habitat. These birds travel long distances in search of water and food, stocking up when they get the chance. Taking advantage of the abundant water found in suburban Australia, they have become increasingly reliant on humans to quench their thirst. Next up on our trek are side-by-side aviaries. The first we will explore is the Lorikeet aviary. This right outside the doors, we can purchase nectar cups for $2. Inside, we'll find 10 species of birds and some turtles that call this first aviary home. Adult lorikeets have an orange beak, while baby lorikeets have a black colored beak. They also have a brush-like tongue that helps them scoop up food. Even though they're native to subtropical regions of China and Taiwan, muntjacs have been introduced to England and are doing quite well there. This species forecast for change. As their native countries develop, they become more common in Europe than in their natural range. Also known as the rose-breasted cockatoo. When it rains, these birds sometimes hang upside down to catch the falling droplets. These turtles are found only on Fraser Island, and tourism is strictly regulated there to avoid disturbing the native wildlife. Spoonbills fly in long diagonal lines with their necks and legs completely stretched out. These birds produce a call that sounds like go away, which is why they are often referred to as go-away birds. The second aviary is Cockatiel Creek. Outside, we can purchase a seed stick for $2. Inside, we'll see a mixture of both different species as well as some that we spotted in the first aviary. Although very territorial, these birds often build their nest in human-populated areas. The angle and position of the crest feathers on the cockatiel change depending on the mood of the bird. These arboreal birds spend most of their time hopping through the trees of their forest habitat looking for food. They are territorial and will defend their space. The Nicobar pigeon is the closest living relative to the extinct dodo bird. Often mistaken for owls, these unique birds are part of the nightjar, nighthawks, and whippoorwill families. The laughing kookaburra will stay in the same territory all year long, and their characteristic chuckle is mostly heard in the twilight hours. Across from the aviaries, we enter the kangaroo walkabout, home to the red kangaroo, emu, and swamp wallabies. On our walk here, we'll catch a glimpse of these giant green poles. These are solar trees. The sunlight captured by these 3 solar trees is used to help power the Komodo Dragon building. Red kangaroos' food provides most of the water they need, so they survive on small water rations. As their outback home becomes drier, times of drought and brush fires will be more common. Their forecast for change? Kangaroos are moving from their homes and getting closer to people. Kangaroos are taking advantage of the abundant water found in suburban Australia, which in turn makes life easier for them in the bush. The shy swamp wallaby likes to hang out in the salt marshes of coastal Australia, feasting on mangroves and tree bark. A lot of them live in protected areas where they seem to handle change well, and their numbers are growing. The kangaroo walkabout also teaches us about invasive species like rabbits, cane toads, and other animals introduced by people, which are causing big problems for native creatures in Australia, which are all competing for limited resources. This bird is named for its long, backward curving salmon pink crest. The rest of its body is white with hints of soft pink. Coming up on the right side of the path, we'll learn about planning for the planet, where communities can make a difference by replanting forests where trees have been lost. When we protect land and restore habitats, we're also helping to fight climate change. And we'll also get one final view into the kangaroo walkabout exhibit. Up ahead and on the left side here, we will come across the habitat for the southern cassowary. Though I have not spotted the bird on my 3 visits to the zoo, it does look like he has a nice habitat. Here we come across multiple yards housing babirussas. The male's upper canine teeth grow throughout their whole life, and though they are fearsome looking, the tusks help attract mates, but they are no match for humans. Forecast for change of this species is that habitat loss leaves them exposed to hunters, so they're moving to higher grounds to avoid people. Males of the species tend to live solitary or sometimes in bachelor herds of 2 to 3 males. While females can be found in groups of up to 8 with young, they spend the majority of their day roaming and foraging throughout the forest. The wild population of these babirussas is estimated to be less than 10,000. These rare wild hog species survives on just 2 small islands in the Philippines. Domestic pigs have been introduced on their islands for farming, and these wild hogs will breed with the domestic pigs. Forecast for change: breeding with domestic pigs dilutes their gene pool. To make matters worse, climate change has already caused sea levels to rise, threatening their homes in the Pacific Islands. On our right, we are passing the Lands of Change Theater. Here we can watch the cockatoo training show. Brevard Zoo's macaws are rotated throughout the zoo to keep their minds active as they benefit from new sights, sounds, and settings. Here we can spot blue and yellow, blue-throated, hyacinth, military, and scarlet macaws. And this will conclude our look into Lands of Change, Australia and beyond. Thank you for joining me on this trek at the Brevard Zoo. This is Brad, and I will see you where our adventures take us next. Until next time, safe travels, everyone.